Bitchin. Oh, by the way, I've been saying bitchin a lot lately.
Ever since I told him that, hey, we're going to get Kyler and we're going to do a podcast, he's like, that's bitchin', dude. And then, okay, there's one. Then the next day, there's 5 more. Then the next day, there's 10 more. Okay, bro, you're saying bitchin' too much. I'm going to have to call you out on it. And he's like, oh, snap. I have been calling. Okay, I got you.
I totally regretted it, but I think it was a bug stuck in my ear, and I couldn't get rid of it. So
hey, man, I do it often enough that like my girlfriend will call me out on it and be like, what is your persona here? What are you trying to do? And I'm like, right. I guess I get it now. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, I'm just being bitching. What do you want from me?
Right. I'm like, dude,
why can't you dig it? Yeah.
So speaking of bitching, Kyler, you're from Kindigit Design, right? And what is it that you do there?
I build their custom door handles, and I am their shop runner.
Oh, you build them? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And those handles go out around the world.
Yeah.
I've seen them. I've put them in hot rods too, for other shops that I worked at. People love that handle, and it's kind of fun actually when you go around a big Good Guys show or something like that. I go, there's a Kindig handle. There's a Kindig handle.
And you have several different styles to choose from. It's not like it's the same one in every car. There's several handles to choose from.
Well, yeah. So it's 8 or it's my bad. Sorry. What? It's 4 styles, and there's 8 selections within those 4. So there's the bare, and then there's the chrome. So yeah, it what me and the guys that are able to pull off with those handles is truly a humbling thing. We get to go to shows and see something that it like you said, I mean, it's all around the world. It's an insane phenomenon to get to go out and see. One of my favorite experiences that it's super funny because it was at like the very beginning of my career when I started there, which is now 5 years in the making. But I went to my first SEMA, and I go up to the laid back garage booth there at SEMA, and I'm like looking at this beautiful K5 Blazer. It has the fiberglass top, but then they put a rag top on it, and I'm this goofy 19-year-old that's just like, I'm already blown away, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, wow,
sure.
This is crazy. And I look down at his door, and there are the Bar-Bear door handles, and they're painted to match, and they look just spectacular, And I walk up to the dude, and I was like, hey, when did you order these handles? And he's like, oh, dude, we ordered them probably like 5 months ago. And I was like, well, and I shook his hand. I was like, nice to meet you. My name's Kyler Bench. I built your door handles, man. And he's like, no way, that's crazy. And so, it was just a really cool experience to get to even get to meet somebody and then be like, hey, when did you pick those up? And he's like, oh yeah, not that long ago. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, there's a likely chance that my hand, went from the very beginning to the end to getting to you, and now here I am in Vegas seeing this, and it's like, whoa, this is crazy. You
never thought you'd be there doing stuff like that, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, really starting out, I graduated and I worked at a heavy haul company for a bit. And I worked in their welding shop with this older gentleman, and he was just an awesome mentor at the time. And he hammered me down for sure. you know how they do it. He hammered.
Oh yeah, dude. If you want to learn anything, you got to find the crankiest guy in the shop.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
And
what's a heavy haul shop?
So they did basically like the enormous generators and such. I actually have a really cool photo of, the generator. I can't. Looking at my room now, it's probably the size of my room.
Wow.
But taller. I mean, it was probably shit, I couldn't even, looking back on it, I couldn't tell you how tall it really was.
But but over 10 feet maybe? Okay. Over 10 feet tall, the generator?
Oh, yeah, no, it was like we had to get a Wagstaff crane out there to lift the thing.
Okay, seriously.
So, yeah, it was huge. And I have a photo of me. I took a selfie next to it, and my buddy's dad is standing on top of it. They have it in the air like 30, 40 feet, getting ready to put it on these railroad tracks. And here I am taking a photo while he's standing up there, and I'm like, what the hell did I get into?
That's awesome, dude. I had my neighbor. Okay, cranes are dangerous, and they'll kill you. My neighbor, who's getting rebuilt after he blew it up with his propane tank at a barbecue, burnt to the ground. Pretty cool.
Great way to spend the 4th of July,
dude. Right? Yeah. And then the construction crew lost the crane because they put the pads down in the soft sand. So one on the concrete driveway they just poured, and one on the soft dirt. And as they're getting the A-frame of the house over the backside of it, I heard a big. I was inside, and I'm like going, okay, snow's just coming off the roof or something. This is a big rumble. It's going for a while. What the heck's going on? And then
the crane is falling.
The whole truck is over on its side, and the crane's through the middle of the house.
Oh, man.
That was being built. So it went through the top floor of the house. Yeah. And then, so I highly recommend standing next to it and taking your photo with it like you're holding up a fish. Right? when there's an 80-ton or who knows how many tons.
Oh, it was insane. And I mean, Wagstaff is the guys that they get out there to do like, the huge downtown skyscrapers and such. And so, super, super big shout out to those guys for keeping me safe all that time.
Yeah, dude. Heavy equipment's always fun. I mean, people even paid at a theme park now out in Las Vegas just to play with heavy equipment for a while.
Right. Oh, yeah, they do. They have that. I see that all the time now, yeah.
I would go do that, yeah. That'd be fun.
All right, after the show, let's go.
Let's go.
There you go. You guys got a plan now.
We'll meet you there, Kyler.
I was about to say, I'll meet you guys there. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's a faster drive for you, but we can get there right away.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. You just fly in. It's all good.
All right.
And bring a bucket of sand.
There you go.
So we have something to move. Okay, so how'd you get into Kindig then? I mean, it was just...
from heavy haul to Kindig. What was that transition like?
What's the next big step?
Yeah.
Were you always in love with hot rods? Was it like something like your dad grew up teaching you, or not your dad growing up, but you growing up? Your dad teaching you?
That's kind of the funny thing. So like point blank, none of my family was really ever into cars.
Wow.
Huh.
None like my great grandfather was like a lube tech back when the Salt Lake Valley wasn't anything, right?
Okay.
And it was super funny because so my dad grew up as a carpet layer down in St. George, Utah, and then my mom was a real estate agent, and so like everyone in my family makes a joke. Yeah, they all make the joke of like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know. And that's kind of the cool thing, I think, about really how I came into it was, so really how it all began was, so my sophomore year, I'm looking at these, just classes. I'm going into high school and I'm like, oh, what am I going to take?
Yeah.
So I get all my core classes done. And my mom's like, hey, there's this welding class. And I'm like, what the hell's that about? Like, I didn't even know. Right. And I'm just,
really?
What's that about? And she's like, well, this is what it is. And I think the description like on the school website was like, learn how to, I don't even remember the wording they used, but I'm going to say it anyways. It was like mend two pieces of metal together or something. Like just something stupid. Like just the most basic way you could explain to a just a kid. Like, this is what welding is. Like, just try it. Just try it.
Yeah, glue metal with fire. Like,
I was like, oh, that's cool. I get to melt shit. Like, this is gonna be fun. And
do you guys have a firework class? Yeah,
right. And I got in there, and my high school teacher was an amazing guy. He took me under his wing. He taught me welding, and really from there, over the next year, I got like full blower. I was like, oh, I'm going to be a welder. I'm going to go I'm going to go up to Iowa or Alaska and be welding pipelines, and I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm going to have that dope welding rig, and this is going to be fun. And
right.
So well, I guess I should say the summer of 2017, my neighbor across the street from me had in his like side yard, it was always tucked away, and I was always like just eyeballing this classic car, and I knew it was a classic car, and I was like, what is that he has there? But it had rust, and it was pretty beat up, so I was like, okay, he's owned this thing for a while. So one day he has a yard sale, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just walk over there, just see what he got,
Right.
And on the side yard, it has, here is a 1979 Ford Bronco for sale. And I think he wanted like $4,000. And I walked up to the dude, and I was like, I'm just going to totally shoot this out. This dude was old, too. He was like probably 80. And I had seen him about. And I was like, I'll tell you what, I got $1,500 in my pocket right now. I will give you this cash. I live across the street. No further explanation needed. And he's like, well, it doesn't run. And so here I am, and I'm like, I can buy this car right now. Yeah. And I call my buddies, and I'm like, I need you to come push this car across the street. And so, I'm telling him, like, here's the deal. We're signing the title. And my buddies pull up, and they're like, what are we doing? And I'm like, see that car over there? I just bought it. It's mine. So let's go. And push it across the street. And so we get it into the side yard.
Even better. Don't have to pay for a tow truck.
I know. And I'm just sitting there cracking up. My mom's like, what the hell did you just do? Nice. And really, I always love to say that whenever anyone asks me how I got into it. Like, that was my first. I always, like, growing up, I always loved looking at classic cars.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love the way they looked. I love the way that I don't know how to really explain it. People always just look really happy when they were driving those cars.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the way that they framed it or whatever. But to me, it was just like, this is something really cool and special. And so we get it over there. And my buddies, I mean, it's a Bronco, right? So we immediately yanked the top off.
Cool.
And we're climbing around it. And the guy's like, it doesn't run. So you're going to have to figure it. My buddy who was pretty mechanically inclined, he did grow up doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, he's diving in the engine bay. He's like, oh, we got to replace this. The battery's probably dead. So let's go look at that. And I'm just sitting there like, I don't know. And and for that, to give myself a little bit of credit there, I knew a thing or two. Just because I was in the welding shop. So I hung out with all the mechanic dudes that wanted to just learn, to burn two pieces of steel together.
Sure. Yeah.
They just wanted to learn how to get a panel on a car, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I got that car or truck, I guess I should say. Everyone always corrects me because I always just say car, but
yeah, it's a truck.
Scooter. I mean,
right. But so I get it there, and my friends are like, hey man, there's some major rust, like minus all that. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
We get it driving, and this is probably the funnest story I have. I go to my welding shop teacher, who also ran the collision class, and I'm like, hey man, this thing has a lot of, it's pretty beat up, whatever.
A lot of cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, what, he did the teacher thing. He's like, so what are you getting at? What do you want?
Right.
And I'm like, well, I want you to help me paint it and like get it done. And he's like, well, all right, bring it in. And so here I come rolling down the road in this, like, probably to him what looked like a total piece of crap. You know, it would overheat every time I drove it. And it was not by far the greatest in the world, but I pulled it in there and he's like, okay, I can work with this. So he made me a deal. He said, I'll make this your senior project, and you get all the parts. You can use my paint booth. You can use everything. He gave me a full list of everything to rebuild this car. And, you know, so that was really where it began. You know, I started cutting panels off that thing, and, you know, I replaced the quarter panels, and then we're looking at other areas. And he's like, okay, well, the cab corner or the door corner panel is all screwed up, so let's cut that out. We're cutting stuff out and ordering stuff from LMC. And, yeah, I just, from there, it just took off. And you know, my buddies and me were like, hey, you know, let's do our own thing. Let's get into it. And I graduated that year with it fully painted.
Way to go.
I did it. Huh?
Way to go.
Way to go. That's awesome. That's a huge deal.
It was astounding. Like, that was really where it hit me. Like, this community and what we all do isn't so much about the instant gratification. It takes time, right? We all know that. It takes a lot of time.
Amen.
And and I got it out in the sun. You know, I washed it after I got it all painted. I was like, man, this thing's looking good. And my buddy walks up to me, and this is the funny part of the story. He walks up to me, he's like, all right, well, does it run? And I was like, no, not really, but we'll get there. It looks good.
It looks good.
That's not important right now. Yeah.
Right. Well, it was a really cool experience to have in high school. You know, I got to go through a lot of trials with that car. And then now it funny enough, now it's in two pieces, body at my grandma's house and the chassis here completely stripped down.
Oh man. Okay.
Yeah. So it's getting ready for, you know, for some powder, and I got a brand new 390 FE, brand new C6.
Nice.
So yeah, it's getting ready to rock and roll. I just got to get it all coming together.
Right.
That's so amazing, dude. I mean, and that thing will be, I mean, no matter how much cash you throw into that car or truck, that you will get it back. Of course, it sounds like this is one of those I'm never going to sell it kind of vehicles.
Yeah. Right. Well, it you know, it's kind of like, I guess the perfect way to explain it, and this is how I put it to like my girlfriend the other night, because we unfortunately really recently had somebody pass away on us. And we were sitting there and we were talking about it, and I just said, I was like, when I have a child and that child looks through my timeline of everything, I hope that they get even half, if not a quarter, of the joy of driving that.
Yeah.
Driving that vehicle as much as I did when I did get to do that, and I got the experience of getting behind the wheel of a 79 Bronco and just being like, wow. This is history, and then I took it over, and now it's history in the making, right?
Right.
You never know where it could go. So it's really been. I don't, like I said, I don't even know how to put it into words. I love that thing so much. So yeah, it definitely is one of the ones that probably would never get sold.
Right. And you've probably gone through several other vehicles in the meantime since that one.
Yeah, well, bikes, but yeah, I've been through my fair share for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an addiction. And
so then you went from high school to the heavy haul, or I mean, how did you get to the heavy haul? I mean, there's got to be a reason why you had a mechanical mindset when your parents are not mechanically mindset.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was always that kid that would tear things apart.
Yeah.
And then never put it back together.
Yeah,
guilty.
You know, and
just like, mechanical things or relationships, friendships. What else would you tear apart? all of it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No. Like my favorite example is my grandpa bought this house in Taylorsville, and it was like this. I mean, to put it in perspective, the house had a coal chute.
Chute. Okay.
Like it's an old home, and we're like going through. It was weird. They had like a food cellar that like the roof collapsed in on, but it only partially did. But my grandpa, he's a general contractor, so he's like, I'm gonna make this into my man cave, and I was like, I don't think that's a great idea. But we're sitting there, and we're like just going through everything down there, and there was this old, just super old radio, and I was like, man, this thing's really cool. And so I like was going through like all the old tubes and stuff, and I was like, how does all this piece together? And of course it was something that never got put back together, but it was just that was really where I kind of found my joy in learning learning how things worked. That was really my big point to it all.
Yeah. It's always the point of dismantling it to see how it works, but then not realizing that you have to pay so much attention to get it back together. I mean, that was my downfall as a kid, taking things apart. I could never get it put back together.
Yeah, or
right. And if you did, you got it put back together halfway.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just a path of...
Or it never worked again.
Path of dismantling and destruction. Yeah, that we've all never recover from, and sometimes go through emotionally a lot of times. We don't have to cry during this podcast, but if you get to that point, you want to go right ahead. Head bowed. Yeah, thanks, better. But what's So that love there, the mechanical, that natural pull for mechanical things,
right,
is in you. And then, I guess, do you have anything in between, or is it just from the heavy hauler generator stuff to Kindig?
No, so actually I graduated, and my buddies and me all got together, and we were like, hey, let's really start something. And
okay, cool.
I don't particularly even know where I really got the name per se. That's not true, because I know where I got the name. But
the name for your business that you guys?
Yeah, for my little shop that I had.
Sure.
I still have it to this day, actually, and it's I'm trying to do more and more with it each day. But we're all sitting there and we're just talking it over, and Five Finger Death Punch comes on. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, Bad Company, okay. I was like, what Bad Company Customs?
It's great,
right?
And they're like, let's do it. And so, we got a direction, and we were like, hey, let's do bikes. Like, bikes are quick flips. So we all jumped in on some bikes, and of course they progressed, and we sold a couple, not really, but,
What kind of bikes?
We would build them, and then we would just fork them off to people.
Oh, yeah. What kind of bikes were you doing?
Mainly bobbers.
Okay, cool.
We really loved the idea of just doing a really cool bobber. Like I said, I learned how to weld, I would say pretty good. Probably not up to some standards, but yeah, we would just, we would have fun and just kind of goof off. And then the reality set that I had graduated, so I went and got a job at a car wash, which was not a great decision. It led to a lot of stupid, time wasted, in my opinion.
Yeah. Car wash people are the most sober, even-minded people in the world.
Level-headed.
Yeah, right. They just get to sit outside all day and direct people into a tube that they can't seem to drive into. It literally, I don't know how some people drove. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I made it out alive.
That's great.
Right? Yeah, there's some people that should not be operating vehicles.
Oh, like I had one lady come through in a Tesla one time and just rear-ended a car because she couldn't figure out how to put her Tesla in neutral.
Nice.
I was like, I leaned through and just looked at this big computer and was like, there's a button that says it has the letter N on it. Like, just hold the button. She's like, I've been hitting it like 8 times. I'm like, hold the button. Hold the button. And I held it, and then it went into neutral. And I'm like, great. Now I got to deal with this lady hit this lady. This lady's already halfway through the car wash.
Wow.
You drove through the car wash. This is great. Okay. And all the meanwhile, of course, I'm trying not to get tangled up in the giant spinning whatever you call it. Yeah, I'm like, oh my hell.
In the brushes. Gosh. Dang, that's hilarious.
But
yeah. I mean, like the more that the cars do for you, the less responsibility you feel in a vehicle. And so therefore you start giving it up to the robot.
Yeah. You relinquish your control to the car.
That's why people play with your phone. You play with your phone a lot more in automatic than you do with a manual. And then if you have something like your 79 Bronco, which is, all your senses are engaged. It's like, this smells weird. It's too rich. It's too lean. What
was that click?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's rattling in the back?
Right. Yeah. That vibration's different. I know it's different, and nobody else is.
I don't recognize that rattle.
But you're sensitive to it and stuff. Versus, being asleep in your car and then waking up and you're like going, "How did I get here?"
My computer drove me here. That's right.
So it'll get way more dangerous. Yeah.
It's a strange occurrence to on Fox 13 the other night. They had some dude in the Tesla, and he's wearing, what are they? The Apple Vision.
Oh yeah, the Vision things. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's wearing it while he's driving, and I'm like, I get that you can still see through it, but what are you doing?
What's your logic, dude? What's your logic?
I think that's called eternal virginity. Because, I mean, you're never going to... I don't know if you can interact with people normally like that unless they're virtual. Also.
Or you cannot be that important that you have to be in contact with somebody at all points of your life, that you're trying to handle stuff, you're answering questions, or you're fulfilling quotas, or you're not that fucking important that you need to be on that while you're driving. I see your point.
Yeah, well, and it blows my mind, honestly.
Yeah.
I never understood that point of it. To where you just let something drive you.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense in my head.
I think if I had a Tesla like that, I would still have my hand there. I would still pay attention. I would still be, cognizant of what's happening around me.
Yeah. Well, and my girlfriend, she did she's electric cars. And I was totally the same way. And I'm sure all hot rodders were when they're like, "Oh, electric, that's weird."
Yeah.
But, I even said to her the other night, I was like, I wouldn't mind driving it. It's not that I would care, but I'm not letting it drive me.
Yeah. There's a difference.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Electric's cool. It's a cool concept in theory. Do I believe that it's going to totally save the world? No, but it is a cool concept. I mean, sure.
But it's it takes away a lot of the things that we love,
100%. Well, and it's cool. We were out at Good Guys when they came here to Salt Lake, and a dude had, I think it was an old Apache that he had torn all the guts out of a Tesla. He found it a junkyard and put it under that. And I was like, that's cool, because electric cars, I mean, they got
as a propulsion unit.
Sure. Yeah. They got the speed and they got the torque, and that's pretty cool. But there's not, again, that rumble and the feeling of being behind a classic.
Okay, but, there's going to come a time in life where nobody's going to know what the internal combustion engine is, and they're going to have that did you feel that electric motor versus this nuclear motor? Or, man, that GE electric motor is a lot better than that Fidelity electric motor. They're going to be like, did you feel the organic nature of that? I mean, it felt like I was one with that motor. There's going to come that day when people are going to look at us and go, you guys are actually around that fireball all the time?
Yeah.
Well, we were.
It cracks me up to see how the world's going. And obviously, I'm 24. And
the next 24 years are going to be crazy.
Yeah. And one of the guys at Kindig, we were sitting there talking about it, and he's this older gentleman, and he cracks me up every time I talk to him. And he's like, you don't even like understand what it means to like truly cruise down State Street or do that. And I'm like, you're right. You're 100% right.
Right.
I will never get to experience that, and that is so sad. But if I can catch any glimpse of that, that's what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah. And I think you can either, whether it's electric or not, I think you can get that semblance of cruising, whether it's electric or gas, or, I mean, even these days, everything's not going to be a V8. There's going to be no more V8s anymore. So, everything's going to be a V6 twin turbo or supercharged or whatever. So it's all going away slowly, because I think Chevy's canceling the Camaro, and Dodge is no longer putting V8s in some things, or is it Ford? That's the Ford. Dodge is done with V8s. Yeah. So the Mustang is the last V8, as far as I know.
Yeah. It's sad. It's definitely sad to see those go, but I think that's, for me at least, that's where I get to like reflect on times past and be like, all right, I'm going to keep, at least for me in this modern culture, I'm like, I'm going to keep being that loud, I'm going to keep having that fun. And if people be damned, I'm going to do what I want to do.
Yeah, dude.
And I don't know. I don't know where I even came from with that. I think it's just who I'm around, and the culture that I get with being with who I am, that I'm like, all right, this is where I choose to be. This is the stance I'm going to take on everything,
Man, but Kyler, with you not growing up in a family of gearheads and having doing this at your own, I guess with your friend group too, I guess, there's punk rock bands that my folks don't get into that are only influenced by my friends. But for sure, and that makes them even more precious to me, because I'm like going, I will never share this with my mom.
Mom and dad don't like this.
but it speaks a lot to who you are, and of a little bit more of that renegade spirit of going after something that explodes and uses fire to make you go forward. So that's pretty great. What did you have, like a creative side to you? Is that why? Because and how much do you think that informs what your work is now? Okay, go ahead.
No, you're good. As a kid, I always loved, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's like in the mechanic weekly when they would cut the old snowcats in half, and you could see all the inner workings of everything.
Oh yeah, the cutaways. And
I was so intrigued by that.
Yeah, that's awesome that shit.
Ron Kimball was a guy. He was a famous artist who would do the cutout things for Car and Driver and everything like that. And he had his own books and stuff.
And real life stuff cut in half. That today still is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's cool to be able to see everything, just all laid out. And I saw it, I got really big into Harleys probably when I was about 20. And I fell in love with the idea of being behind handlebars and on two wheels. And so I went and, I bought myself an Iron 883, and I love that bike, and I'm still building it. And, there's this really cool photo I found online of the 883 blown, just totally blown apart.
Yeah.
Cool. And I was like, man, I don't know what that does in my head, but it really just intrigues me and makes me be like, all right, this is cool. But, getting back to kind of what you had asked originally, because I always go off on tangents, of course, but
that's what this is built for, man.
Right. And no, I was always creative as a kid, and I always had I just wanted to do different things. I always wanted to be the kind of the black sheep, I'd say.
Right.
Growing up, I always listened to rap music, and I'd see them all tatted up, and I was like, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up. And my parents were like, oh, you're not going to. And then evidence shows. I'm slowly building my collection to this day, but you know, it always cracked me up that I was like, okay, I'm just going to be different. That's just what I'm going to be, and that's who I'm going to be, and I like that, and that, you know, living on that kind of border of everything just makes me it thrills me to be on that edge of whatever I'm at, you know.
Gosh.
It seems to be a pattern of mentality for the people in the automotive world, the people in that have hot rodding or motorcycle. Anybody that does custom stuff, you know, they seem to have that similar mentality that you have. Is all right. I'm going to be different, and I'm going to have to deal with it or embrace it, or however you want to say that. What I think is different from everybody else's, and I'm going to pursue it and have a lot of fun with it.
Well, yeah, and I think that's, you know, when you see, like, it always cracks me up when I see, like, car guys or hot rodders or whatever you want to call them out in like public spaces. Like, we were just, you know, traveling recently, and I'm just sitting there cracking up. I'm like, how do we all just blend with everybody? And it really is that kind of, okay, this is the situation I'm put in. This is who I'm with. So I'm just going to blend in.
Oh, okay.
That's all you do.
Yeah, but you also find your people too. I mean, and it's
100%.
And so it's like once we, I mean, if you're at a party and you find a car guy, then it's like, okay, now I can talk.
Right.
I can actually, I don't have to just hold my drink in the corner, you know, and wait until like, can we go home?
Right. I've been in those situations too. I've also been in the situation where I'm not at a party and I'm like, who here can I tell shares the same mindset, huh?
Right.
And I'll find that one dude, and like maybe he doesn't know a damn thing, but he's really interested in it, and so we start talking about it.
Yeah, and that's how you can have a conversation. You know. Yeah.
Or the opposite side is great too, when you start going, like, oh, my friend Tommy, he's into cars too. You should get to know him, you know. And then he starts talking about how he's super, super into something that you hate, you know, because you don't like his niche of car that he's into, and I don't know, like he's a Tesla guy or something like that. Nothing wrong with him, but it's like, I'm really into hypermiling. I've set a record on hypermiling. You go, oh gosh, you know, why don't you just say you're vegan, and then let's get it over with, you know?
Yeah, well, you know,
how far can I stick this pen in my ear? Yeah,
I don't know what hypermiling is.
I've definitely had those friends that like we can disagree to agree, and even as I get older, like sometimes I'm like, all right,
disagree.
I can see where you're coming from. That's pretty cool. All right.
Yeah.
You know,
okay. The saddest
just takes that one really cool car that I see that I've always hated. That I'm like, okay.
For sure, dude. For sure, you get really relatable.
I'll bow my head to you this one time and be like, okay, you got me there. That's pretty good looking.
This one time.
Yeah, I'm not doing it again. Get it on film because it's not happening ever again.
Right.
I will say this one time at a car show. I'm like, you know, how you get at a car show with friends who aren't into it, and you're introducing them to everybody or walking around, and then you can tell the stories of what these cars are. And then the saddest guy I ever met at a car show was the proud owner of a Saab Sonnet.
What?
Yeah. Oh, the Saab Sonnet.
Did he have it on display?
On display
at a car show.
At a car show that within 3 paces away was an Enzo Ferrari. And then, granted, his car was more rare than the Enzo because nobody wanted to buy it, but he had stories. And I remember did a little preamble before we went out to go talk to the Saab Sonic guy, because he was really excited to talk to anybody, and people were crossing around him, you know, to not read his sign there, because you know he's getting ready when you walk past the sign going, hey, you want me to tell you a story about that one? No, sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. No, speak English. No. But like, I go, Anthony, speaking Spanish while we walk up to this guy. But so I said, okay, watch this, to my buddy Anthony and Sarah, and I said, I started talking to him. I go, hey, this is I go, Sobsonnet, right? And he goes, yeah. I go, pretty rare. He goes, you don't know the half of it. And I go, it's a pretty awesome car. I was trying to be complimentary so that he would keep talking and I could show his sadness, how it's going to play out. And I go, that rear glass has got to be really rare. And I said, and before he could say anything about it, like I saw his shoulders kind of change. I go, how many times have you replaced it? Because it has a door handle that has a latch handle in the middle of the glass that's a drilled hole upper in there, so not on the edge and not a framed glass. It goes down, sort of like it. The rear hatch like goes down into a rubber gasket, but it was like drilled through the glass to have up top, and then a twisting handle that would twist 90 degrees at the bottom. I go, how many times have you replaced this glass? He goes, 3. And I go, yes. And then I go, and I pointed at Anthony and go, see? And then I go, how expensive is it? And he goes, $3,000 every time. And I don't think I can get another one. I go, yeah. And I go, yeah, that's it. Yeah, here's a picture of it. Exactly. And
what the heck?
I go, but it's worth it though, because you get a lot of attention. He goes, not a lot of attention. People usually think it's an option. I go, okay, but it's fun to drive and stuff. And he goes, well, it's not that fast. I go, you have trouble getting up to 65? Yeah. I go, because it's a 4-cylinder. No, well, I knew what it was actually, but I said it's a 4-cylinder though. And he goes, it's a 2-cylinder. And I go, it's a V2. And he goes, yes. And I go, front drive V2. And I believe, I'm not quite sure, but I think it might have even been.
It does look like a Datsun. I can see why you can mistake it. But
what year is that one? It's but
I don't know.
But early 70s kind of a thing. But
those are hideous.
But it's so much effort to keep it alive, and there's no way you could maintain a girlfriend or any close relationships, and you had to give it all up and become so niche on this one thing.
So he's a lube tech.
No,
no girlfriend.
No, he's not a lube tech. He's probably an engineer or a science or a professor at a school, so that he can yell at other.
He's one of the guys that's so smart that has no common sense to know.
He couldn't let it go. Yeah, and then I'm like, and so I grabbed Anthony and Sarah and I said, let's leave this poor man because he's gonna cry. And then we walked away.
And you made him cry at the car show?
He did, but he cried alone on his way home at 30 miles an hour at red light. Sorry.
Red light.
That's funny. He's just sitting there in the red light crying.
I just don't know. It wasn't like worth it. It was just one of those things where he's like, it's unique for the point of being unique. And it takes you apart. I do think that you have to have a rule as a car guy that your vehicle has to, in order to really like, one of the achievements is it has to piss off a woman that you love. I think in some way. Like, why is this ruining my driveway? What are you doing here? Yeah. Why are we late? Why do we smell like gasoline? Something like that.
We could have spent this money on a nice vacation instead of your truck.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you, woman. We're going to be able to. Right? We'll have this truck on the driveway after the vacation's over, and the pictures are lost. So that's why we spent the money on the truck, not the vacation, woman. Right.
You'll get there, dude. Yeah,
I'm fortunate. My girlfriend now loves classics.
Good.
And she has like an old Jeep, an old Chevy K10.
Oh, nice.
Okay, yeah, so she's into it hard. Okay.
Yeah, she's into it. Her parents have a 87 Bronco, and I'm building that for them right now. And she's sitting there. She's like, "When is my truck gonna get done? When is my truck gonna get done?" I have way too much going on right now.
Yeah, dude.
I'm like,
that's what I was going to ask. Is that why she's dating you, so she can get the hookup on the car?
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, dude. Dependency.
She was going to be sitting right here next to me, and then she didn't show up, so she could have answered the question for you.
Well, it's good that she doesn't answer in recordings. That way, you can't hold it against her later. She's smart.
Right. She's like, I know what I'm getting into. I'm bowing out.
Yeah, that's great.
She's so funny, right? Because I'm like, we're sitting there and I'm talking with her mom, and I'm like, hey, that truck, it has a 350 in it, and like that's a reliable motor and all, but like if we really want to do it up, I'm like, we should get an LS.
Yeah.
And my buddy just so happened, the buddy that's currently helping me actually redo the shop now, he's like, well, guess what? I got a C10 with a 6.0 in it, and I don't want that anymore. I changed directions. Do you want this engine? And so I go to her and I'm like, hey, babe, your truck's going to be out of commission for a bit. So let's just, call bygones, and I'm going to put you a new motor in your car.
Oh, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great,
so it's pretty fun.
So she is getting the hookup is what I hear. I got it.
She is. Yeah.
Mm.
That's a fantastic engine. I love those motors too.
I do. I love them.
Yeah.
And don't ever let anybody say that LS swaps aren't cool, because they always are. And if
are we going to do an LS swap ensemble one day where we talk about everything that the LS has been swapped into?
Yeah.
From
there you go.
Washing machines to airplanes and everything else in between that.
It's
you'd have a dozen-page, if not more, freaking documentation of every time an LS swap's been done.
It's
you know what you should do? You should do a documentation of every time an LS swap's truly pissed off a Ford guy or a Jeep guy or anyone else in the world that just gets super pissed off when you put something in it.
All the Mustangs at LS Fest.
All the
I was
Mustangs
reading
or
this
the
morning.
F1s or anything like that. See how many people complain.
Right.
Yeah. Speaking of you guys, I was reading Motor Trend, their website this morning. They were talking about like a Chevy block with the 5.0 Mustang heads on it.
Yeah.
Like some machinist had shaved it down to fit and adapt them.
Yeah.
I'm like going, okay, there you go. Now you'll have no friends.
Yeah, because you put a Ford head on a Chevy LS.
I want you to meet a subsonic guy. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
You too.
That'd be the guy for me to meet.
Exactly. So it'll be perfect. Awesome. So
he needs to put that Ford head on that LS 4-cylinder that they have then.
Oh yeah.
Make that that would be awesome.
The half LS.
You know what?
So
hey,
cool.
People's ingenuity. I'll never knock anyone if you put that much effort into doing something that obscure. Like, okay,
respect.
I gotta respect you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're trying to achieve something here. I don't know what it is, but
I'm not agreeing with it. But respect. I don't agree with it, but respect.
But it's that old meme. There was an old meme of with the axe where it's a steel handle and a wooden blade head, and it says just because you're unique doesn't mean you're useful. And so
there you go.
You have to push it down the road a little bit. You can't just sonnet your life. And just do this to be unique for uniqueness' sake.
Man, wow, what a sob.
Sob story.
Yeah.
So, what's the day-to-day like at Kindig? Show up at 8, working hard and till the whistle goes.
I wouldn't know about showing up at 8, but that's just
okay. Sorry,
that's just
6:30
me.
a.m.
I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes, but that's not. Honestly, I couldn't pick a better place to land if I truly tried. To be honest with you,
right.
I
loved it. The little bit I was there for a week, I adored every second of it.
Yeah, when I worked there for a week, it was great.
Yeah, and obviously, I get a very unique perspective in this world, and not to go crazy ham on it because I could talk all day, but I've gotten the experience of a lifetime. Something that's truly special to me, that one day I get to share the stories of some of the most incredible times in my youthful life that I've gotten to do truly crazy shit. I've gotten to do some just downright fun, crazy stuff.
Are you traveling with the show? Dave and Kev are going all around, from Good Guys to Good Guys and all these other shows too. How many of these things are you part of? Are you running out?
It really comes down to everyone would like to be there, right?
Sure.
Sometimes it's not in the cards. Sometimes stuff comes up. Sometimes you just can't do it. You can't swing it. And, I try my best to be, I try to be everywhere at once. And sometimes that can affect my own personal life as well as my sanity.
Yes.
But it really comes down to, I love the atmosphere and I love what we do so much that I always want to be a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Your booth is always packed with people lined up out the door. Great. Can you tell me about Detroit, though? I mean, come on, this is a huge story that you guys, after 5 years, because Greg and I both signed an NDA
saying we couldn't talk about
saying that we couldn't talk about this this thing, and then finally it comes out. It's like, I can tell you guys about this,
I don't even know that I can put into words how special it is to be a part of the team that got to go and do that.
Right.
A lot of
and by going to do that, like, can you describe the car a little bit? I mean, it's a 53 Corvette, but not really.
It's hard to put into words, really. It's
well, give us the bones. It's Dave's mind.
Yeah, it is, and it's crazy to really go into detail about it because, like I said, I'm not the guy that's working on it.
Right.
I'm just running parts, so a lot of stuff gets lost in. Like guys at the show, we're all sitting there talking, and I'm like, I fumble words and I do whatnot, and I'm a young dude that just is here with them.
Yeah.
And it's a spectacular feeling. Like all the guys that were at Detroit got to go on stage and really revel in
the accomplishment.
How amazing it was to be there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because going from when I first started seeing that room get built to being in Detroit with that car was truly a special moment for me because it has been secretive and you do want to be like, this is crazy. And
well, tell people what it is. I mean, there's a special room built at Kindig for this car to be built in secret for the last 4.5 years, right? And
yes. Yeah. I mean, it was so kept on the hush that, we're locking down the shop.
Mm-hmm.
Like on Fridays, we're like all looking over our shoulders a little bit, like who are we watching? What's going on? And it's
because it's such a competition. The Riddler Award that you're going after.
It's been such a crazy ride.
Yeah, and
that's the best way I can put it into words. For sure, say like to put a blanket statement on the whole thing. It's been one of the most crazy, badass things to watch come together.
Yeah.
Because even this the C10 we built, the Game Changer.
Yeah.
You sit and watch Will's mind at work.
Yes.
And you're like, wow, okay, I don't know how you pulled this off, but
with a retractable hard top and
I know
all the beautiful black and white paint and everything else.
And we get to do just incredible stuff. To be honest with you, the crew at Kindig has never done anything but treat me amazing.
Cool.
And being able to be in the unique position that I've been put in there, where I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere at once. Right. I'm not really on the show as much when we're at shows and people are like, oh, can we get a photo with, I'm with like Howard or Brandon and all those guys. And they're like, oh, you're a part of the crew. Get in the photo. I'm like, do you even know who I am? I'm not being rude. I'm just like, I'm really not ever portrayed as this crazy fabricator or these amazing men that I get to work with every day, right? So,
but it's still huge, dude. I mean, like,
no, it really is, and it's something that I always tread so lightly with. There is that kind of mystique about Kindig. Everyone always wants to know the next best thing, and it's like, I love to get to share my experience there because it truly has been a wonderful ride over 5 years. I've grown up in that shop, truly.
Yeah, for sure.
I went from being a 19-year-old to here I am at 24, that's not that big of a gap. but being there, it really is. I mean, even getting to go and learn with, Jordan and Greg and get that kind of cool experience, like, you just don't get that all the time. And that's not many things that guys get to go do. So it really has been an amazing ride. I don't honestly see myself ever leaving, to be honest with you. It would take a lot, and it would take a huge opportunity for me to be like, hey, because again, I mean, I'm close with those guys, and I've gotten to know them for a while now,
Right.
Did, was there, I mean, we both saw that car, the 53 Corvette with the V12 in it, that is aluminum bodied and lower, wider,
monocoque,
more curvaceous than it ever. It seems sinful to look at it. For two people. But it's such a gorgeous thing, and one of those things where you go, man, if you gave Dave time, money, and secrecy, what would he come up with? And it's like, that's kind of outperforming that. It's amazing.
His brain is something that I've always tried to wrap my mind around, and I can't even put into words some of the really unique conversations that me and him have had over the years of like.
Yeah, I was going to say, what has he personally taught you? What are you taking away from it?
Honestly, it's that I don't even know how to really say it. It's the unique perspective of hard work pays off. I've heard Dave's story now a million times.
100,000 times.
I've heard the down. The guys that just want to talk shit. I've heard the guys that want to hold him to the highest praise. And to be honest with you, okay, I'll put it to you like this. This is the best way I know how to put it, really. We're out in Detroit, and we're at this Coney Dog place, me, Howard, and a couple other guys. And this car club rolls up, and they're going nuts. They see us. Look at our cars, this, that, and the other, and we're all sitting there.
And they're like, dude, are you the parts runner? Yeah. And they're going, get out of the way, Dave. I want to talk to Kyler.
Yeah, no, that's never happened. But
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. But it cracked me up because here I am, and I'm looking at these cars, and I'm like, wow, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
And this guy's like losing his mind, and he's talking to Howard, and Howard just simply looks at him and he says, we're car guys all like the rest.
Yeah.
Right? There are things we love, there are things we don't love.
Yeah.
And, that really sums it up. When people watch the show and they see us, I've had so many conversations with Dave. It's almost like talking to a father figure or a brother or whatever perspective it's being put in that moment.
And that's the whole mentality of the whole shop is all you guys have that same mentality where we're just car guys like everybody else. We're just doing a lot more work and a lot more detail than some of the other shops, but we're just car guys like everybody else, and we want to show how much we love cars and how cool we can make cars, and let's see what everybody else has. Let's see what everybody else's cool cars are also.
Yeah, well, and it's all art. At the end of the day, it's all art.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful art at that. no matter how you put it,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah.
And we're all working hard. That's the thing, you know. That's like when, you know, Sugar, you say, "Oh, are you showing her bait?" I'm like, no, I show up at like 5 or 6, but that doesn't put anyone down. I've been doing that for 5 years now, so that's what I do, you know.
Right.
Amen.
Like that's my habit. I get there, I look at what needs to be done, and then I do what I have to do. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, I go home and I work on my stuff.
Nice.
And I have fun with my stuff. And, you know, every guy I've ever met through Kindig always says the same thing, which is Kindig always makes it really hard to go home and look at your stuff and be like, okay, I'm not going to go buy the craziest of crazy stuff because that would be bad for me, but I still get to work with that stuff. So I get to play with the fun, crazy stuff. But like, I'm going to tone it down on my own.
That's
my own shit.
Right. I could be normal and nominal and do all the wicked crazy stuff there and do all the normal nominal stuff for myself. So is that what you're doing? Is you're learning how to do the metal fab and learning how to do the other stuff, so you're not always just the door handle guy and not just the parts runner. You want to move up and do more stuff there?
Yeah, well, and you know, I have 2 guys under me right now, 2 phenomenal guys, Legend and Jordan, and they're truly.
Did you say Michael and Jordan?
Legend and Jordan, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're super hard workers. They put in the effort every day to just put out astounding stuff. You know, and a little thing that most people don't know is that we hand shape all those chromes. Those chrome handles. I mean, we hand shape all those by hand, and they're picking it up every day, doing more and more and more. So yeah, I mean, you know, not to always sing everyone else's praises, but yeah, I mean, I'm planning on moving up and moving out at some point. That's the goal. That's always been the goal. Yeah. And yeah, like at home, like I have right now out in the shop, I have a 77 El Camino / BMC Sprint, whatever amalgamation it is. Technically, it's a Sprint, but
I'm in the same boat, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, you put
El
71 parts on it, and then you're playing the what is this car game?
Yeah, man, I had one. I had a 77 El Camino. I love that fucking thing.
I love that car, and you know, I picked up a killer deal at the shop one day. You know, they're sitting there looking at me, and they're like, "Hey, Kyler, since you know none of your classics run, we have a 350 small block.
Hey,
that you just buy it from us real quick, and you can slam it in that car." And I was like, "All right, cool, yeah, let's do this." And so, you know, I bought it, and it does it's a super badass motor. I'm super excited to put it in. It's in the car now. I'm getting all the buttons and whistles and all the crazy shit put into it. But yeah, I mean, really to answer the question, yeah, that's the goal. I want to move up and out and continue my career. But I don't even know. It's been just such a crazy ride. Especially
keep the ride going at Kindig, or move on from Kindig. You want to do metal fab there and stay in the family, if you will.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I mean, and you know what? For that matter, I'm skewed because it's not like I really have any other experience. I've been with them for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to see guys come and go, and you know, I'm always looking at where everyone lands and what it is, and to be honest with you, I guess I've never really experienced anywhere else I'd rather be, because I have been with them to the point where they're family to me.
Yeah.
We've been through the struggle bus of plenty of hardships through my life, at least, to where they've always treated me right, you know, from crazy tragedies happening in my life to where I got to just drop everything and be like, hey, you know, I got to go.
Right.
I got to get out of here. And they're just like, call us, let us know you're okay.
Right.
That's huge, man. Cause like, so many shops that, Greg and I talked about that too, where you just go, we're expendable, man. Even though you bring a lot of talent, you go, my body has been broken here. I've sacrificed so much, and I can make more at, Walmart, McDonald's. It feels like, and then, but I've never heard anybody say anything bad about working at Kindig, which is unique and huge, and
because we're always replaceable. We're not replaceable, but we're expendable, and that's the one thing that I think Kindig recognizes. We can always get somebody else to do that job, but the way that person does it, that we can't replace that. So they value the person that's doing the job as, like you say there. So yeah, just let us know what's up and make sure you're okay. But whereas we've worked at places where it's not like that. Something happens and well, that's fine. We'll replace you. We can replace you. Actually, no, you can't.
If you don't come in on Monday, then guess what? Your toolbox will be outside. Welcome to the dog and
dude. I got fired because I was going to the hospital because my girlfriend's, my fiance's daughter was having grand mal seizures, and I wasn't sure if she was going to make it. So I said, I'm leaving an hour early because she's already there. And then I got back the next day, and he's like, this isn't working out for me. It's really nice what you're doing with the kid, but I'm like going, okay, I know who you are now.
Yeah, so, I don't need to work for you then.
Well, and, that was a huge, I guess, not to get like crazy super deep with it, but, like one of my good friends ended up, in
a situation.
Away. I'll say, he passed away very, very suddenly. And
we got you.
I just went in and I was, I was pissed and I was sad, and I walk up Kevin's stairs and I just look at him and my manager at the time, which is Pringle, and I just said, I'm done. Like, I'm leaving.
Huh?
Don't call me. I gotta go. And my cousin was down in St. George where this all occurred, and as I'm driving down there, one of the coolest things that ever happened to me was my mom's always been a super integral part for me being there. And my mom calls me and said, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And I'm like, I'm just driving. I'm all good. And she's like, okay, well, have you talked to anyone from the shop? And I was like, no. And she was like, okay, well, everyone was just worried about you, and a couple of the guys had reached out and just were making sure that you were okay because they saw you leave pretty suddenly and they didn't know what was going on. And so, I had called my manager at the time and was just like, hey, I'm good. Tell everyone I'm fine. I'm okay.
Right.
And after I got back from the funeral and everything, it's a Thursday night. We're all, kind of just kicking it. And I'm off in the corner in like my own area. And, everyone's just kind of patting me on the back, just being like, hey, we heard, we're so sorry. I can't imagine that. These are guys that are way older than me, that have been through way more. And yet they're sitting here consoling me. And I'm like, okay, this is my family now.
Yeah,
this is my home. And, I got my first toolbox there, and everyone's like, what are you going to do with it? You're going to sticker it up? You're going to get the striping done? You're going to have some fun with it? And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where I'm going to call home. This is where I'll hang my hat. I'm cool with that.
There you go.
Nice. Yeah, it's hard to find those shops, especially ones that are super successful. Super successful shops sometimes have a weird dynamic in them where people can't grow or people can't be themselves and stuff. You have to be what the dynamic is, Whereas at Kindig, every time I've ever spoken with Kevin or Dave, they're like normal human beings. They're normal guys. And so that's great for you to be able to start there as well as be able to know that that's going to be your home there. That's a comfort that most people will never know.
Yeah. And I'm truly blessed. I really am. I mean, in all honesty, I'm I'm blessed beyond imagination, really.
Right.
That's cool. That's really unique, man. Yeah, and definitely not. I don't know Greg and I's experience in other places, but yeah,
right.
that's a huge deal. So I appreciate that, man.
And the fact that you came and did the metal class and stuff, that was cool to see you grow within that. What was that? We got to spend 16 hours, maybe 14 hours.
Yeah, well,
you didn't get your full 8-hour days, but I want to see what you do there as you grow and more stuff. I want to see what cars you build and how you build them and stuff like that.
Well, and it's always a journey, and I just feel like at the end of the day, everyone there has my back.
Yeah.
And I have their back. It's
that camaraderie isn't common. I'm trying to tell you that camaraderie isn't common. So good for you.
Well, yeah.
And like one of the guys at the shop said at one time, he's like, sometimes you got to stop and smell the roses, man. Sometimes you got to stop and understand that, I've had guys that are like, I'm done. I can't, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, but we're sitting here talking about this. Like, let's really talk about it. What is so bad? Like, what are you going on about? Who irked you today so much that you're now just done? Like, what's going on?
Funny.
Because that's what guys, that's what, and it's a shop environment, and that's really what ends up happening. It's so different than with me and my buddies when we're doing stuff. And like my buddy dropped the transmission on me one time. Yeah. But I didn't just stand up and was like, screw you, kiss my ass, I'm done. Like, no, you just get up, you deal with it, you go on, and eventually, and you know what? That's to the, I guess, temperament and judgment of some. Like, maybe they know, like, hey, I should probably go apologize because that was pretty fucked up. Or, okay, I'm just going to let that slide because if I go bring it up, he's going to try and kick my ass.
Right.
That's funny. They flattened you like a cartoon character. You took it well, but that speaks a lot to you too and your character too, Kyler. Because and also that a bunch of tough fabricators who don't give a nothing about nothing and are tattooed up and low caps and stuff like that too. Yeah. I don't have any tattoos yet. I'm gonna except for the one dolphin and the tramp stamp. But there you go. But that was spring break of '99, and everybody was excited.
We don't want to see
it's a forever story. But that speaks a lot to you too. That those tough guys, badasses and stuff, are jaded whatever fabricators, reached out to you in a rough time, because if you weren't like that, then they would definitely not bother with it because emotions are uncomfortable for these guys.
Well, it's just our culture.
Hell yeah, dude.
We're definitely, at the end of the day, we're just rough and tumble dudes that want to build cars and smell the octane and do all the crazy shit,
and all the other fun cliches. Well, dude, thanks so much for spending time with us, man. That's a huge deal. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
The crazy part about it is we can always go on and on and on.
Oh, we will. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, we plan on having a follow-up with you.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Oh,
we're going to do follow-ups with our best interviews.
I have to say this, and this is one of the funny things. When you guys sent me just the small little thing, one of the things that you sent me was the car that got away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please.
And I have to say it was the funniest thing trying to write that out. Because...
Write it out. Your answer?
Oh, no, I'm typing out all the cars I've ever seen at that point, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's so funny because I was racking my brain. I'm like, how am I going to tell them what car got away when every car I see on Facebook Marketplace technically got away from me, okay? Every trailer has gotten away from me. Every car has gotten away from me. How am I gonna answer this properly? What the hell am I gonna say?
Well, it's the one that you owned that you had to sell for whatever circumstance. That's the one that got away.
That's kind of that kind of thing. But you didn't put a ring on it. You didn't keep it forever.
Right. Yeah. The one that got away.
So yeah, if you don't have that, that's good. But yeah, I mean, all of us are.
Yeah. I mean, my son.
We can all probably list one. I mean, mine's an 05 Ford Ranger. So.
Oh yeah.
See, there it is.
Well, one day I'm sure you'll get it back.
We'll do a VIN search and find it for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's a book called The Secret about manifesting your future.
Put it up here. I know I've listened to it plenty of times.
Podcasters are talking about Ford Rangers. So
yeah, it's all on Ford Rangers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think Oprah drives one. So. Because well, she promoted the book so much. You guys don't get it. Anyway,
she's a book promoter. That's right.
Okay. The Secret especially.
The Secret, yeah. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, dude! I'll send you a copy, Kyler. All right, dude, you're awesome. Yeah, don't run away. Yeah, you're awesome. Thanks so much for doing this.
Yes,
and
thank you.
And we'll follow up again later, dude. All right.
No, for sure. Hit me up whenever you guys want to talk.
Right on,
okay.
Thank you.
See ya.